Hi everyone, myself Kiran. I am studying computer science engineering in MS Ram Mayer College. I am going to explain you a new topic that is trending all around the world. It is called as Project Loon. It is done by Google actually, and it's very trending in the world right now. In the project Loon PPT, I will be going to explain you all these topics that are done here. The main topics that I will be covering on is what is project Loon, what is actually the Loon actually is, and the history of how it got started and where it will carry on, and the aspirations, what are the benefits of using project Loon actually, and the technology used, what are the sources and technology used in making the project Loon to be so successful. And the Loon actually spices we will be putting it in the stratosphere. So why only stratosphere will be used? And that is why we are discussing. And the design part, what are the materials used in the actually the balloon that will be flying in the stratosphere, the design of it. And the working of it, I will be explaining you in detail about how it works actually, and the cost of how much it actually is very expensive. So what makes it expensive, I will be explaining here. And the current progress actually how it is trending now is the current progress actually in India also it's been introduced actually, it is being introduced as of now. So the current progress of how it is going to work, and this is also the other explanation. So overall the conclusion part and all about the project Loon, I'll be going through the slides in the PPT.
Welcome guys, I will be explaining you through slides the project Loon, and the main motivation for me to explain this topic to you is actually the technologies designed in the project could allow countries to avoid using expensive fiber cables that are using actually nowadays have to be installed underground to allow users to connect to the internet. So Google feels this will be greatly increase internet usage in developing countries, especially in the regions of Africa and Southeast Asia that can't afford to lay underground fiber cables that are very expensive. So what the Google Loan is done is this makes internet access available to anyone in the world who has receiver and is within range of balloon. Currently, the balloons communicate using the unlicensed 5.8 gigahertz ISM bands. The first person to connect to the Google Balloon internet after the initial test balloon were launched in the stratosphere was a farmer in the town of Leicester, New Zealand, who was one of the 50 people in the area around Christchurch. And the this allowed the project workers to attach a basketball-sized receiver resembling a giant bright red party balloon to an outside wall of the property in order to connect to the internet. This was the only thing the people actually knew, the locals knew nothing about the secret project other than its ability to deliver internet connectivity. Project Loan by Google. Actually, what is Project Loan? Project Loan is a research and development project developed by Google X with the mission of providing internet access to rural and remote areas. Uh, as the rural and remote areas people can't use internet, this is the much more accessible and very useful for those people living in rural areas. The project uses high altitude balloons placed in stratosphere at an altitude of about 18 km from Earth's surface, and it will be the speed of it will be around 4G speeds with wireless network. It was named Project Loan since Google itself found the very idea of providing internet access to the remaining 5 billion population unprecedented and crazy. Because of its project loans and outlandish, Google dubbed it as Project Loan. Its main intent is to provide balloon powered internet for everyone. The history of the project Loan, how it actually started, and all those things. In 2008, actually, Google considered contracting with an acquiring a space data corp, a company that sends balloons carrying small base stations about 20 miles up in the air for providing connectivity to truckers and oil companies in US, but didn't do so. Unofficial development of project began in 2011 under incubation in Google X with a series of trial runs in California's Central Valley. The project was officially announced as a Google project on 14 June 2013, and the pilot experiment usually began in New Zealand, where about 30 balloons were launched in coordination with the Civil Aviation Authority from the Tekapo area in the South Island. This is the look of the Project Loon that was launched in Christchurch in New Zealand. About 30 balloons were launched in coordination with Civil Aviation Authority in New Zealand. And aspirations as this is the main useful aspiration about the Google Loon is it will eliminate the use of expensive fiber cables that were usually installed underground to allow users to connect to the internet before. But using the Loon, the balloon powered internet, we can avoid the use of these expensive fiber cables. And it also uses as the Southeast Asia and Africa people generally don't have access to internet, and in the developing regions also we can use this as the main advantage to provide internet to the people of living in Africa and Southeast Asia. And the various technologies used here, I'll be explaining this one. The technologies that are used here is the Project Loon is Google's pursuit to develop a high altitude balloon network operating in the stratosphere. At altitudes between 18 km and 25 km, that actually the balloons will be running around. Google asserts that this particular layer of the stratosphere is advantageous because of its relatively low wind speeds. Example, wind speeds will be around 5 to 20 miles per hour or 10 to 30 kilometers per hour in kilometers, and minimal turbulence. So there will be not much that much disturbance. I will be explaining you in the video coming up. Moreover, Google claims that it can model with reasonable accuracy the seasonal, longitudinal, and latitudinal variation in the wind speeds with the 18 to 25 km stratospheric layer. So, the accurate model of wind speeds with 18 to 25 km band, Google claims that it can control the latitudinal and longitudinal position of high altitude balloons by adjusting only the balloon's altitude. And the first person to connect to the Google balloon internet after the initial test balloons were launched in the stratosphere was a farmer in the town of Leeston, New Zealand, who was one of the 50 people in the area around Christchurch who agreed to be a pilot tester for Project Loon. The technologies used I will be explaining this very clearly in the video coming up, and we'll be moving to the next slide. So the balloons will be flying in the stratosphere, but why stratosphere? This is the main question actually. And the stratosphere is the second major layer of Earth's atmosphere, just above the troposphere and below thermosphere. It is stratified in temperature with warmer layers higher up and cooler layers further down. This in contrast to the troposphere near the Earth's surface, which is cooler higher up and warmer further down. The border of troposphere and stratosphere, the troposphere is marked by where this inversion begins, which in terms of atmospheric thermodynamics is the equilibrium level. The stratosphere is a region of intense interactions among radiative, dynamically and chemical processes, in which the horizontal mixing of gaseous components proceeds much more rapidly than in vertical mixing. An interesting feature of stratospheric circulation is the quasi-binary oscillation, usually named as QBO in the tropical latitudes, which is driven by gravity waves that are conventionally generated in the troposphere. This induces a secondary circulation that is very important for the global stratosphere transport of traces such as ozone and water vapor. So these events often precede unusual winter weather and may even be responsible for the colder European winters in the 1960s. And even the air pressure in the stratosphere is 1% of that sea level, that helps very much in flying of the balloon. And stratosphere is in turn made up of different layers of air where the wind keep changing its direction. And even the thinner atmosphere offers less protection from the UV radiation and temperature caused by the sun rays. This is usually advantage for the balloons to fly there. And moving on to the next slide. This is how the balloon works. The balloons usually can recognize the wind patterns. I will be explaining these wind patterns and all in the video coming up. Actually, the balloons can recognize the wind patterns such that they can move in the specific directions of the wind, and can be even controlled from the earth also. These balloons usually travel at an altitude of 20 km above Earth's surface. Project Loon uses some software algorithms that can determine where the balloons need to go, whether the particular direction or in the particular layer can be maintained by the algorithms used for flying of those balloons. The design. Coming to the design, Project Loon balloons are made up of three layers actually: envelope, solar panels, and equipment. And this is how the balloon usually looks like. Uh, Actually, the loon is comprised of three parts, as I said earlier: envelope, solar panels, and equipment. Project Loon's balloons envelopes inflatable part of the balloon are made up of sheets of polyethylene. They are specially constructed for use in super pressure balloons, which are resistant to UV radiations and is capable to function at temperature at low as minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit and at a pressure as low as 1 by 100 atm. That's actually is very advantageous for flying of the balloons. Balloons filled with helium and air mixed are launched, recycled and relaunched at a designated collecting point. After 100 days from the launching, the balloon is ready to be taken out of service and the gas is released from the envelope to bring down the balloon in a controlled descent to the ground. Each balloon includes a parachute to ensure a more controlled landing. The balloons and equipment on board can be reused and each loon has an approximately 2 years lifetime. Solar panels power each unit's electronics. In full sun, these panels produce 100 watts to keep the unit running while also charging a battery for use at night. By moving with the wind and charging in the sun, the loon is able to power itself using only renewable energy sources. A small box containing the balloon's electronic equipment hangs underneath the flattened envelope, which contains circuit boards that controls the system, radio antennas to communicate with other balloons and with internet antennas on the ground. Batteries also are available to store solar power so the balloons can operate during the night and the weather instruments to monitor the weather and conditions around them. This is how the loon actually connect the at the first the loon has been launched. It is useful for many of people in the rural areas and where the internet is not available. This is how the first launch of the project loon has taken place, and this is the video footage of it. This is how the screening of the balloon or manufacturing of balloon takes place. It was very difficult previously to manufacture balloon, but nowadays we can manufacture 12 dozens, 12 dozens of balloon in a day. That's very good news for us, and we can consider. I will be explaining the three parts of the balloon design in detail here. The envelope, the first part. Balloons are made up of the sheets of polyethylene plastics that are very resistible to various temperatures and the pressures. Inside the envelope, there is another chamber called bladder. This bladder is usually is controller for the balloon to either ascend or descend. If whether the balloon has been damaged or it has been needed to be descended, a fan powered by solar energy fills the bladder with air to make it heavier. Likewise, the fan vents the air in the bladder which causes it to rise. So the balloon to rise or descend, it can be controlled from the bladder which will be present within the envelope. When the fans are out of service, it releases gas from the envelope and descended slow to the ground whenever the fans or the bladders are also damaged. Solar panels. Each unit is powered by a solar panel so that it can be powered with the sun energy that is available. So these panels in the full sun can produce 100 watts of power that is very much enough to keep the unit running while also charging a battery at night. So by moving the wind and charging in the sun, Project Loon, the balloon is able to power itself using only renewable energy sources. So it will be very useful for the environment also. And the third part, and this is how the solar panel looks like. And the third part is the equipment. A small box containing the balloons, the electronic equipment containing circuit board that controls the system. So the radio antennas are provided, as I said earlier, to communicate with other balloons and also internet antennas on the ground. And batteries are also provided to store the solar power so the balloons can operate during the night time too. So the balloon will be running around totally for 24 hours so the user can access the internet for all over the day. So more equipment and the equipment length and all it has mentioned 12 by 10 by 24 feet inch, that's usually will be fixed to the before below the like antennas. And altitude control system, yeah, the actually the altitude of the balloons can be controlled. A flight computer directs the balloons to climb or descend into a wind layer that will carry it to the desired location. Sensors, yeah, totally around 75 sensors that transmit 189 types of data about location, weather, and even the GPS and the conditions to Google. Web-based software can plot a course and suggest changes. This is how the structure of the project Loon balloon looks like. So as I mentioned earlier, the envelope will be the top part of the balloon that will be flowing, and within that the bladder will be there, and the solar panels for the running of the balloons, and the equipment for controlling from the ground and within the balloon. So this is the image of the balloon that is ready to be launched. This is how the Loon collects actually. As I was explaining how the Loon connects, each balloon actually can provide connectivity to ground or about around 40 km in diameter, and the speed is also comparable to 3G speed. So each balloon can provide around 40 km in diameter to the networks of the people to who are having the antennas. And each balloon is equipped with a GPS tracking for tracking its location. And this is how the Loon connects. I was explaining it. Three radio transceivers are used for connecting, and from balloon to balloon, one radio transceivers are used to knowing the direction and the distance from which it is maintained, and from another one from balloon to ground, so as to so as to control it from the ground, the connection and the direction. And third, for very very important, whichever from the above two, if it fails, the third for the backup is used. Balloons are antennas equipped with specialized radio frequency technology, so that can be controlled. And Project Loon uses ISM bands that are available for everyone to use. This will be explaining. I will be explaining in detail in the next coming minutes. And this is how the actually Loon connects. I will be going through it in detail. Actually, the from specialized antenna provided in the house, the people will be connecting it to the balloons, and the balloon sends the signal to neighboring networks, and it finally reaches the local internet provider, where it gives the service back to balloons, and balloons gives it finally back to the antenna. And these are the advantages and disadvantages that are that are coming from the use of Project Loan. The price of internet data in many parts of the world continues to be unaffordable for the majority of global citizens. So the advantage that will be offering here is it will provide the worldwide access to information to everyone, including those who today are beyond the geographic reach of the internet or can't afford it. And even the Project Loan will guarantee this right by taking a practical approach to information delivery. Project Loan's near-term goal is to provide the internet world with broadcast data and internet access for everyone. Wireless connection to the web available for free to every person in the world. Project Loan will also offer a humanitarian communication system relying public service transmissions during emergencies in place where there is no access to conventional communications network due to natural disasters or man-made restrictions on free flow of information. This will be very much important during natural disasters. And Project Loon will use a network of balloons to transmit selected internet data like audio or video or text and applications to any Wi-Fi enabled device, including mobile phones anywhere in the world. These are the advantages, but it also includes some limitations, and the main limitation in using Project Loon is the cost. The cost was high as we have to take permission by antenna and fix it in the home. After fixing it is quite affordable, but and the maintenance cost will also be very high, and total equipment is very costly and complicated. Balloons must be replaced for every 2 or 3 weeks, as they must be refilled with the gas and should correct the balloon equipment if any damages occurs when they are moving at stratosphere. Even this problem is resolved as of now, and every technology has both advantages and disadvantages. Loon has about disadvantages. Experiments are advancing so that they can avoid about disadvantages. And some of the cost, including matters, the balloon offers manufactured by Raven Arrested costs around $4,000. Helium gas also costs around $2,000 per flight, and solar panels cost around $500, and navigation control system cost $1,000, and equipment box and relaunch used for balloons cost around $15,000. And even for ground station installation and maintenance also cost more around 1.2 billion for just construction on the ground. And the human cost is also more, as some dedicated person is needed to regularly maintain, and that will cost, and labor cost varies from different locations, and each antenna will be costing around $500 per user. So current progress, that is actually delivers around 5 to 22 megabytes per second speed, so that is very affordable for the every rural people, and even for the areas where there is no internet connection. And the flight duration is also increased as of now. So previously some 30 days it was there, and now it has increased to 100 to 200 days. That is very compatible compared to before. And the bandwidth has also increased, so that it's very useful for the people to use it.
The working of the balloon is actually it provides the speed of a 3G speed, so that it's very compatible for the users to use it, and it also provides a 40 diameters or 40 diameters. It provides the internet connectivity, and also the GPS tracking is available from that in the balloon, so that we can track its movement and location through this GPS. And radio transceivers are used there. So overall we will be using three radio transceivers in the balloon, so as to just make from balloon to balloon one transfer radio transceiver, and from antenna to balloon one radio transceiver, and from another for backup, so that we can use the backup receiver whenever some one among them fails. And actually how the working of the balloon is, this will be the level of the ground level. So any homes that will be wanted to connect to the balloon, they will be providing an antenna over here that will be usually basketball shape, so that you can connect after the balloon will be somewhere around 12 miles above the earth level. So you can connect to them through these red balloons whenever the why the balloon shape structure, when the basketball shape structure is used through the antenna is, so you can connect wherever the balloon in the other direction. So it is somewhat the major advantage of providing the antenna in the basketball shape. So around the balloon will be flying starts around 12 miles above the earth surface. So the balloons flying around here. The balloons can reduce the wind patterns over there. So whichever the wind patterns actually wanted, we can monitor from the ground only, so that the balloons fly in the right direction. We can monitor around it. And the antennas provided for the users, they can connect them to the balloons to get the internet connectivity. So it will be the first step in connectivity actually. The user from the, and you throw the antenna will be connected to the balloon. And the next step is the balloons communicate among themselves. So as to look at where is the nearest source station for providing the internet. So if they recognize somewhere around here, source station will be there. So the balloon which is nearer to it will be sending the signals, whatever the users will be sending to the balloon, they will be sending to the radio stations. In the radio stations, internet will provide service to the balloons, and balloon internet will be again providing the internet service back to the users. So this is how it works, and it usually is very fast process. It provides speed of speed that's very compatible for the.
Balloons can be controlled, wind patterns in stratosphere, we can control it from ground. Whichever way the direction the wind is blowing, we can consider it, we can make it to move. The National Climatic Data Center gives us the report to in which direction the wind is blowing, and it's very useful for us as of now. Yeah, in the upcoming next slide, I'll be telling you the conclusion part. So, in this century, Google's new invention project Loon provide a very valuable help to poor people by accessing the internet facility. Not only the help, but also it provides the internet to each and every person in the world. So, especially the people of Southeast Asia and Africa, so that they can use this new project very helpful for accessing the internet. So here the balloon envelopes used in this project are made up of Raven aerostat and are composed of polyethylene plastic about 3 milliliter or 0.076 millimeter in thickness. The balloons are super pressure balloons filled with helium and sands of around 15-meter tall across and 12-meter tall when fully inflated, and carry a custom air pump system dubbed the cross that pumps in or release air to balance the balloon and control its elevation. So that I will explain in the bladder part. So we can control the its elevation, or it can control, we can control its decrease, can control its decrease towards the ground, so by controlling its the air in the bladder. And a small box weighing just 10 kg containing each balloon's electronic equipment hangs underneath the inflated envelope. This box contains circuit boards that control the system, and the radio antennas and the ubiquity networks rocket M2 to communicate with other balloons, and with internet antenna on the ground, and batteries also there to store solar power, so the balloons can operate during the night. And almost all people may get the ability to get to know the world of internet and utilize these facilities to overcome the barriers. The barriers may include educational barriers and the improvement and the hazard barriers. So whenever there is need of internet and there is a need for communication, people can use this one as the main source of the transmission of the communication. And each balloon's electronics are powered by an array of solar panels. So array of solar panels that sit between the envelope and the hardware. In full sun, the panels produce 100 watts of power. So there is no much need of any another energy in the night, which is sufficient to keep the unit running while also charging a battery for use at night. So it's very compatible and it's also renewable. A parachute attached to the top of the envelope allows for a controlled descent and landing when a balloon is ready to be taken out of the service. So whenever it is needed to be taken for the service or any damages, we can descend the balloon, and we can we can descend the balloon and we can control its ready control for its service. In case of any unexpected failure, the parachute deploys automatically. So the balloons typically have a maximum life of about 55 days. So within 55 days, the previously it was used to be 30 days, and it has been now, although the Google claims that it tweaked design and can enable them to stay aloft for more than 100 days, even for 200 days it has been there, and that's what the Google has been providing us. And so the conclusion here, actually what I need to say is, give a child a balloon and maybe they will smile for a day, but if you give them one with Wi-Fi, and the possibilities Google hopes are limitless. Like a child can make it useful for the various purposes. As I said earlier, it can be for educational purposes. All the rural people can get to use this internet with very less amount, and can be made it very valuable for them. Welcome to the quiz part. This will be the interesting part of the slides, and you can remember the topic very easily by going through these quizzes. So the first question: where did the project Loon was initially launched? The options I have given is India, Australia, New Zealand, and Africa. So you might make the guesses. Actually, the Loon was launched in Christchurch by the pilot living in a small town there, and the answer is New Zealand. And I have given the answers for this in the next at the last, so you can see them once again, and you can go through it. And in which layer the balloons fly, and the project Loon balloons fly: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. So based on the advantages in the stratosphere, that provides the wind movements quite easily, and the balloons and the temperature facility available there. So, and even the ozone layer that provides the very basic protection to the balloon, so the balloon fly in stratosphere. How many radio transceivers are used in balloon? This is the next question. So radio transfer receivers used totally. I will give a clue. Totally, the radio transfer, first radio transfer between the balloons to communicate among them, the distance and the movement of the balloons among them, and and next one from the balloon to the ground, so that the from the groundsman can control the movement of the balloon from the ground. And the third one, that is very necessary for the backup purpose. So totally three radio transceivers are used. And the three parts of the balloon, I explained you: the envelope and the solar panel between the envelope and the equipment, and the equipment part. Envelope that will be filled with the bladder, so that the balloon can fly in the stratosphere. The solar panel to run and the balloon, and even that it stores energy for the night, and the equipment that consists of antennas to communicate among the balloons and with the grounds also. So these are the three main parts of the balloon, and this is the answers. So the project loan is actually a main concept and the trending topic all around the world to provide internet access to every person around the world who can't afford to provide for the high fiber cables that are there. So the loan provides very much easy and very much more convenient way for providing the internet by just offering very less amount, and it can be available even in the forest also. You can access the internet if you have the balloon, and so wherever all the rural people can get, and in India also it's very much for approaching, and we can have the balloon powered internet all over the world. So this is the very the topic that I chosen for the motivation being of it. It can be used by rural people. So this is how I chosen this topic, and you must be knowing this topic, and I think you will all be liking and you will be very much keen on learning this topic. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you one and all who watched this video and have learned the topic, the new topic, the project loan. Thank you.